I'm River Gibbs. When young people in my generation want some entertainment, all we have to do is go to the internet, or maybe see a movie, or check out the 300 channels on our cable TV box. But when my grandparents were young, aside from reading a good book or spending Saturday at the movies, the best way to have fun was to listen to the radio. During the next hour, we'll turn back the clock and hear the old-time radio shows young America liked the best. Roy Rogers, the king of the Cowboys, and his wife, Dale Evans, the queen of the West, were a big hit on radio. The Roy Rogers Show was pre-produced using a rather new invention, magnetic recording tape. The wonderful thing about the shows was that the plots were simple, too simple sometimes. And like most juvenile westerns, there was always a fight between good and evil, and each had a moral. At the same time the radio shows were being heard, Roy and Dale were appearing in live shows, movies, and on television. Millions of young children were members of the Roy Rogers Riders Club. Like two other radio cowboy heroes, Hopalong Cassidy and Gene Autry, Roy had a ton of merchandise tie-ins with his show, including cap pistols, cowboy hats, cowboy and cowgirl outfits, and lunchboxes. Now, from 1952, the first of the two episodes of a real young American favorite, The Roy Rogers Show.
It's The Roy Rogers Show. Happy trails to you. It's nice to meet again. Happy trails to you until the journey's end. Oh, Sugar Crisp, the cereal treat that's fun to eat, brings you The Roy Rogers Show. Transcribed on the Double R Bar Ranch with Pat Brady and the Queen of the West, Dale Evans. Happy trails to you. Time to rise again. And here he is, in person, the King of the Cowboys, Roy Rogers.
Here's my good word for today. It's about a honey of a new cereal, Post Sugar Crisp. And it's my hunch you'll like it just as much as we do out here at the Double R Bar Range. You see, Post Sugar Crisp is just downright good eating. And it's good so many different ways. Try it real soon, won't you? Now, hit yourselves up on the edge of your chairs because our story today is plenty exciting.
It is the day before the annual Paradise Valley Sweepstakes, the most grueling test of stock horse speed and stamina in all the West. Roy, Dale Evans, and Pat Brady are at the horse breeding ranch of Roy's friend, Glenn Shaw, watching Glenn give the final training workouts to Gun Barrel, one of Trigger's finest sons.
Roy, look at that horse go!
Well, he's a whip, all right. How do you like him, Pat?
For a critter with legs, I guess he's fine, but I'll take something with wheels any day, like Nellie Bell.
Oh, Pat, you and your old Jeep. Don't you even recognize a good horse when you see one?
Gun Barrel sure does his daddy mighty proud.
How's that, Roy? How did Gun Barrel look?
Fine, Glenn. It's going to take a lot of horse to beat him tomorrow.
I'll second that motion. A mile's a mighty tough distance for a stock horse to cover at full speed, but I certainly haven't seen anything that can touch Gun Barrel.
Well, I sure hope so. I'm counting on the prize money.
That will pay off your mortgage at the bank, won't it?
You bet. Once I pay off the stock mortgage, this whole shebang will be mine free and clear. And if Gun Barrel does win tomorrow, his colts will bring great prices. I'm just glad that Gun Barrel doesn't have to run against Trigger tomorrow.
Well, Trigger isn't exactly a 3-year-old anymore.
A couple of years ago, though, a tough mile race like this would have been right up Trigger's alley.
Say, Roy, do you know anything about that Thundercloud horse from upstate?
I haven't seen him.
Well, this fellow Bailey, who owns him, has been around the cafe quite a bit lately, and he has plenty to say about him.
Yeah, and he's willing to back it up, too. You know, he carries a roll of bills as big as one of our coffee mugs, and he's willing to put up almost any sum that Thundercloud will win.
Well, if he wants to bet on a horse race, I suppose that's his business, but it's something I sure don't hold with.
Yeah, I don't either. But if Thundercloud does win, a lot of Mineral City folks is going to be mighty poor for a while.
Hey, look, visitors. Do you know 'em, Roy?
I don't recognize the truck, but it's the sheriff's car.
Say, that's Mr. Bailey riding with him.
Ain't that a mighty pretty truck, though?
Howdy there, folks.
Hi, Sheriff.
Folks, I want you to meet Mr. Bailey. He's here from upstate for the sweepstakes tomorrow. Mr. Bailey, these are my friends, Roy Rogers, Dale Evans, and Pat Brady.
Hi, Mr.
How do
Bailey.
you, sir?
And this young fella's Glenn Shaw. He's the one we want to talk to.
Well, I'm very glad to know you, Mr. Bailey. I guess you came out to take a look at Gun Barrel and see what your horse is up against tomorrow.
Go ahead, Sheriff. Do your duty. Glenn, Mr. Bailey here has bought the mortgage the bank held in your stock. Your payments are overdue and we have to foreclose.
What? What do you...
That's right, Shaw. I'm taking your Gun Barrel horse. Load him on the truck, Jock.
Right, Shaw, Mr. Bailey.
Oh, now, wait a minute. What's this all about?
What do you mean, foreclose? It's almost a month before the final payment's due.
Well, sure it is, and Glenn's almost sure to be able to meet it.
Well, I don't know you, Rogers. I don't think this is any of your business. But in case you think it is, you have the facts all wrong. Take the horse, Jock.
Good enough. Give me the bridle, Sonny.
Now, wait a minute.
Wait a minute, nothing. Give me the bridle.
I'll have to order you to do that, Glenn. I've seen the mortgage transfer. It's overdue, all right, and the papers are on file with the county clerk right now.
Sheriff, you sure the papers are in order?
Why, sure I am, Roy.
Well, let him take the horse in, Glenn. We'll get into town and straighten things out.
Now you're talking sense. But you won't find anything to straighten out.
All right, come on. Give me that horse. Come here, you big red bruiser.
Say, don't you handle Gun Barrel that way.
Come on, lady. I was taking care of horses before you was born.
You handle that horse easy, fella. The lady means what she says, and so do I.
Go ahead, Jock. You know where to take the horse.
All right, boss.
Well, come on, Sheriff. I'm in a hurry to get back to town. Maybe some more of these Mineral City hicks want to bet against Thundercloud. I'm sorry, Roy.
It's all right, Sheriff. I'll see you later.
I'm only doing my duty. That's all.
Roy, I don't understand. If I don't have Gun Barrel in the sweepstakes tomorrow, the whole ranch, everything I've worked for, gosh, I won't have a chance.
Oh, Roy, why did you let him get away with it?
They aren't getting away with anything, Dale. Pat, is Nellie Bell up to a little tracking?
Is Nellie Bell up to a little tracking? Why, Nellie Bell's got a nose like a bloodhound. You know that.
All right. You and Glenn get in that mechanical bloodhound and follow the truck. Dale and I are heading for town as fast as we can get there. We have some business at the bank and the county clerk's office. I know the bank has a right to sell a mortgage, Mr. Meredith, but you might have let Glenn Shaw know about it.
That's why I sold the mortgage, Rogers. I just didn't have the heart to foreclose on a nice young man like Glenn.
Glenn claims the mortgage wasn't due for a month.
Well, now, my recollection of the due date, seems to me that the mortgage did have another month to run. Still, I can't be sure.
You made out the transfer, didn't you, Mr. Meredith?
Well, no, Rogers, I didn't. I took care of the negotiations, of course, but I always let my assistants do the actual paperwork. Hope there hasn't been a mistake.
There isn't much time, you know. The race is tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. By the way, Rogers, I'm not a man to suggest gambling, of course, but if you want to get in on a sure thing, just put a little money on Mr. Bailey's horse.
I don't gamble, Mr. Meredith.
Well, just the same, a bright young fellow like you shouldn't miss a chance to improve his position. That Thundercloud's a great animal.
Well, Mr. Meredith, I have a mighty poor memory. Would you mind writing that horse's name out on a piece of paper for me?
Not at all, Rogers, not at all. Here you are. Thundercloud, a sure winner in the sweepstakes tomorrow.
Thanks. Well, I'll be going along.
Good luck to you, Rogers. Like I say, I hope you and your young friend will get straightened out. If I can be of any help, don't hesitate to call on me.
The sheriff may be calling on you, Mr. Meredith. We'll see.
Roy, did you find out anything?
Well, maybe. How about you, Dale?
Well, I checked the transfer at the clerk's office, and the foreclosure date was just like the sheriff said it was.
Oh?
Gosh, Roy, do you suppose Glenn could be mixed up?
What did the transfer look like? Was it written in longhand?
Yes. It was on Mineral City Bank stationery and signed by Mr. Meredith.
Was the handwriting anything like this?
Thundercloud. Paradise Valley Sweepstakes. Oh, Roy, that's exactly the same handwriting.
I thought so.
But what does...
Hey, Roy! Oh, Nellie Bell. Hey, Roy. Hey, Dale.
What's up, Pat? Where's Glenn?
He's in Tombstone Canyon.
Tombstone Canyon.
Well, where's the truck that took Gun Barrel away?
Well, that's in Tombstone Canyon, too. The truck drove her till it couldn't go any further. And then that mean little old weasel unloaded Gun Barrel and met a great big bruiser. And the three of them started to pick their way through those rocks.
Tombstone Canyon. Roy, that's no place for a horse that's supposed to race tomorrow.
It sure isn't. Pat, you and I'll stop at the Double R Bar Ranch and get Bullet. And we'll go to Tombstone Canyon, too. Glenn and Gun Barrel are up against it. But they haven't lost yet.
You know, Roy's little pals, the 3 Sugar Crisp Bears you see right on the front of every Sugar Crisp package are with us tonight, and they say you'll love the delicious flavor of sugar and honey just as much as they do.
That's right. It's the best flavor in the world.
And what's the best way to enjoy that wonderful flavor?
Eat Post Sugar Crisp.
Yes, indeed. New Sugar Crisp is coated with delicious honey and sugar, and like the Bears say, you'll enjoy it 3 ways.
You bet. It's dandy as a cereal.
And for snacks, Sugar Crisp is so handy.
Or eat it like candy, right out of the package.
How right you are. Post Sugar Crisp is the wonderful new cereal treat that's fun to eat any way you eat it. As a cereal, Sugar Crisp is so sweet you don't need any sugar. Just pour on milk or cream. And Sugar Crisp is so handy for snacks, so easy to fix. Or eat it right out of the box like candy. Yes, it's like the 3 honey bears say.
As a cereal, it's dandy. For snacks, it's so handy. Or eat it like candy. Post Sugar Crisp.
Be sure to get the genuine Post Sugar Crisp in the red, white, and blue package with the 3 bears on the front.
Roy's friend, Glenn Shaw, has a great chance to win the Paradise Valley Stock Horse Sweepstakes with Trigger's son, Gun Barrel. But he loses the horse when Bailey, owner of Thundercloud, forecloses a mortgage under mysterious circumstances. Glenn follows his horse and Bailey's henchman to the rocky fastnesses of Tombstone Canyon. And now Roy, Pat, and Roy's dog Bullet are following their trail along a tortuous, stony path.
This way, Bullet boy.
How do you know where you're going, Roy?
Well, it isn't too tough to cut sign in here, Pat. We can see where the small rocks have been disturbed, and that's just as good as footprints.
I'll see how you do it.
Hey, quiet, Pat. What's the matter?
I guess I'm allergic to traveling on foot.
Well, this is one place Nellie Bell couldn't go. Easy now. I think I hear something. Shh. There's someone just around the big rock.
Take it easy, sure. It won't do you no good to stride against them ropes.
You said it, Jack. When Big Red ties them, they stays tied.
Hey, that's them, Roy. Look, they got Glenn and Gun Barrel both tied up.
Yeah, look, Pat. If we climb up over this rock to the ledge, we can drop right down on them from above. No, Bullet. You stay here. Wait till I call you.
Yeah, I'm with you, Roy, but it ain't gonna be easy.
Come on.
How'd you get here, Shaw? How'd you follow us?
Never mind how I followed you.
Ah, so you thought your horse was going to win the race tomorrow, did you?
Hold it here, Pat.
Right.
He's still winning if he gets a chance to run.
I'll get right above the big one.
Roy,
What's that? Oh, I see you up there. Go on down, reaching for the clouds.
Roy, Pat, what is...
Shut up, little fella.
Oh, you're the wise guys who was hanging around Shaw's ranch this morning. Come on, get down here and don't make a fool's move.
I'm sorry, Roy.
Well, don't worry about it, Pat.
You seen these guys before, Jack? They friends of this little punk?
We're friends of Glenn's, yes.
But maybe the boss will have some plans for you, too. Take their guns, Red, and tie 'em up.
You don't think we came alone, do you?
Huh?
Look up there at the rim of the canyon.
I
got the big one, Pat. You have him, Jock. Never loosen your grip on a gun, big boy. It doesn't pay.
I got him, Roy.
Cover me.
Oh, boy, Roy.
If you didn't have my gun, I'd...
Here, take Red's gun, Pat. Keep it leveled on Jock. Now, Red, you do what?
I'll break you in two.
The only mistake you made was coming in wide open.
Man, oh man, Roy, he landed like he busted an axle.
Pat, untie Glenn and put those ropes around the big fella. If there's a small end left, you can use it on Jock.
Roy, we've got to get Gun Barrel out of here. If he's going to race tomorrow, we'll have to...
He's not going to race tomorrow. I'll get those hands in the air, all of you.
Well, Bailey, I was sort of expecting you, but...
You're a born meddler, aren't you, Rogers?
Watch out for this guy's tricks, boss. He's full of them.
Now, Shaw, if your friends had let me take the horse peaceably in accordance with the law, all of you would have been better off.
We weren't too badly off, Bailey.
Listen, cowpoke, that's about enough. How'd you like to taste a bullet?
Bailey, there's not a cowpoke in these parts that would let a...
Bullet, get him! Rogers, get this wolf off me. Hold him, look at him.
Stay with his hand, boy.
Oh, my wrist.
Drop your guns, Bailey. Go on, drop them.
There. Now get him off me, Rogers.
Pick up the artillery, Pat.
Right.
All right, Bullet. Let go, boy. Good boy, Bullet. Now, Bailey, I think you look better without your guns.
Yeah, and so do the other two. There, Glenn, you're loose.
Thanks, Pat. Gee, I'm numb from those ropes.
Rogers, this whole thing is a big mistake. I thought at first you were a couple of gunslakes holding up my boys, and that's why I mean...
Stow it, Bailey. I'd rather talk about a certain stock mortgage.
Why, sure, Rogers. What about it?
Are you sure you didn't take Glenn's horse about a month before you had a right to?
Well, all I know is what the papers from the bank said. Do you mean there's been a mistake?
I think there's been more than a mistake.
Well, if that's the case, naturally, I'll be more than glad to see that things are straightened out. Why don't we all go back to town and talk this thing over?
Roy, you mean you're going to let them get away?
Sure. They won't leave town until after the race tomorrow.
Well, no, of course not. I have nothing to fear.
All right. Suppose you get moving then.
All right, Jock. Grab Red by the arms. We'll get him out.
How about our guns, Rogers?
Never mind your guns. You have enough to carry with Red.
All right, Rogers. But we'll expect to get them back.
Come on, Red. Walk, will you? We aren't going to drag you all the way.
You know, I've probably met 3 unpleasanter fellows, but for the life of me, I can't remember when.
Glenn, are you all right?
Sure, Roy, I'm fine, but Gun Barrel... Gosh, look how he's favoring his right foreleg.
Easy there, Gun Barrel. Let's see that hoof, boy.
How does it look to you, Roy?
Pretty bad, Glenn. He can't race tomorrow.
Roy, don't you think if we got him back to the ranch...
Not a chance. I've never seen a worse stone bruise. Gun Barrel will be all right in a couple of weeks, but that's the soonest.
Then I've lost everything, Roy. The Colts aren't ready to sell, and without the prize money...
Yeah, that's mighty tough, Glenn. I know how you feel, sort of like I'd feel if anything had happened to Nellie Bell, or like Roy'd feel if anything had happened to Trigger.
Trigger? Hey, look, Glenn. If you had another horse that was ready for the race tomorrow, you could still enter him, couldn't you?
Sure, Roy, but I haven't.
Well, let's get back to Paradise Valley. You're going to buy a horse from me, providing I can buy him back within 24 hours.
Just wonderful of you. Do you think Trigger can win?
Well, I don't know, Dale. He'll sure give it a try.
Hey there, Glenn. How you getting along?
Oh, it's no use, Roy. I can't do anything with Trigger. He's fine and all that, but I just can't get any response out of him.
Well, Trigger, boy, what's the matter? I guess I didn't think, Glenn. No one but me has ever ridden Trigger.
I guess I just wasn't meant to win this race.
What do you mean, Glenn? You don't have to ride the horse yourself, do you?
No, but...
Well, what are you waiting for, Roy?
Roy, will you ride Trigger?
Well, look, Glenn, I'd like to, but I'm a lot heavier than you are, and those extra pounds in a tough race like this, well, it's just asking too much of the horse.
Oh, Roy Rogers, you couldn't ask too much of Trigger, and you know it.
Get your horses up to the start line. Come on, riders, get your horses up here.
Please, Roy, it's my only chance.
Oh, but the weight... Well, here, let's get the saddle off Trigger. That'll make a few pounds difference.
Roy, you gonna ride him bareback?
Well, there's no rules against it, is there?
Not as long as the horse is carrying at least 130 pounds.
Well, he'll be carrying that and then some. Hold the saddle, Pat.
You bet.
Here, Dale, keep my gun belt for me.
You bet I will, Roy.
Glenn, wish us luck. We're going to need it. Come on, Trigger boy.
Come on, get your horses up to the line.
You can do it, Roy. You can do it.
I hope he can. I'm worried only about Bailey's Thundercloud.
Which one is he, Glenn?
Well, he's that big black one there. You see the big black one with the white blaze?
And look who's riding him, that sidewinding little jock.
Oh, it's a beautiful horse. Hey, wait a minute. That's no stock horse. He's a thoroughbred racehorse.
What?
Look at him. Look at his head. Why, did you ever see a quarter horse with conformation like that?
Dale, you're right.
Oh, then Trigger hasn't got a chance. There isn't a stock horse living that can outrun a thoroughbred for a full mile.
And I got Roy into this.
Well, there's nothing we can do about it now. Come on, Trigger! Come on, Roy!
We're the Sugar Crisp Bears, and we want you to meet the grandest treat you ever did eat.
Post Sugar Crisp.
As a cereal, it's dandy. For snacks, it's so handy. Or eat it like candy.
As a cereal, it's dandy, or eat it like candy.
Post Sugar Crisp.
Yes, sirree. Any time of the day, Post Sugar Crisp is the cereal treat that's fun to eat. No wonder it's the fastest-growing cereal treat in America. Full of nourishing wheat goodness and coated with energy-rich honey and sugar, Sugar Crisp has an exciting new kind of taste. Deliciously different from anything else you've ever tried. It's a honey of a new cereal. So be sure to ask Mom to bring home Post Sugar Crisp in the red, white, and blue package with the Sugar Crisp Bears on it. Remember, it comes in both the giant and regular sizes. Start enjoying Post Sugar Crisp tomorrow.
To save his friend's ranch, Roy at the last moment agrees to ride Trigger in the Paradise Valley Stock Horse Sweepstakes. And at the cry, they're off. Dale discovers that Trigger is running against a thoroughbred racehorse.
Come on, Roy!
What are you trying to pull, Shaw? What do you mean by having Rogers ride his horse in your colors?
What are you trying to pull, Bailey? I'd like to see the papers on your horse.
Now, Bailey, you have no cause for complaint. Everything's in order, and Rogers has a right to ride Trigger.
And Trigger will beat your horse no matter what you try, Mr. Bailey.
We'll see about that.
Look, Dale, Pat, Trigger's gaining on the leaders now.
Yeah, so is that thundercloud.
Attaboy, Roy! Oh, Trigger's leading! Trigger's leading!
No, he ain't. Thundercloud's right with him. Come on, Trigger.
Oh, no! Thundercloud's inching ahead. And look what that rider's doing. Look, he's squeezing Roy into the rails.
Come on, Trigger. We can still take him. Come on, boy. Go on, Trigger.
Well, that Rogers about slammed into that rider. I'll slam you hard.
We'll take our chances. Go on, Trigger. Go, boy.
It's your last one, and Rogers, pull up or I'll spell you how I'm winning this race.
You want to win so bad, quit worrying about my horse.
What?
Look what's coming up on the outside.
What? Where?
Nowhere. Now go, Trigger. He left us a hole. Get through there, boy.
Come on, outside. Roger, come on, Thundercloud. It's in front of me now.
Trigger got through on the rail.
Wow, it's going to be close.
Ride Trigger on! He's made Trigger on!
Trigger won! I don't know how he did it, but he beat that racehorse.
Now, Bailey, what do you think of that? Well, I could beat that horse of yours with my teeth.
Oh, Glenn, aren't you happy?
Bailey, you double-crossing scallywag. You told me your horse couldn't lose.
I'll protest, Mr. Meredith. Rogers had no right to put that horse in that race.
Well, you're going to have a hard time convincing the crowd of that, and I've lost thousands and thousands of dollars.
Pat, Glenn, listen.
Quiet, Meredith. Not here. What do you mean, not here, Bailey? I falsified that mortgage state because you promised me Thundercloud couldn't lose if Gun Barrel was out of the race.
Did you hear that, Sheriff?
I sure did, Dale. Whoa, Trigger. Whoa, easy, boy.
Right, Trigger, you're marvelous.
Boy, Trigger skimmed around that track like it was jet-propelled.
What's going on here? What are Meredith and Bailey up to? They've been up to more than I ever dreamed, Roy. But we got the goods on them. Let go of me, Sheriff. Hey, you never take me. Stand back, all of you. Or I'll start blasting with these six-shooters. No man can cross me like you have, Rogers. But I'm getting revenge because I got you without your guns. Now get off that horse. You bet I'll get off my horse and I'll land on you.
Don't worry about Roy. Did you ever see such a quick move?
He was on Bailey before he could shoot.
Now, Bailey, I've got you without your guns, too. And I've been waiting for this. Get up on your feet, you skulking coward. No. Sheriff, you need any more information out of Bailey? No, Roy. He and Meredith have made a confession before witnesses that will stand in any court in the land. Why? Because if that's the case,
Bailey isn't going to do any more talking for a while. I don't like to lose my temper, but he had that coming. Sheriff, have your men grab Bailey's rider. Come on, Dale, Glenn, Pat. I've got to cool Trigger out. Come on, Trigger boy.
Roy, I'll never be able to thank you enough. Having Trigger win the sweepstakes is just as good as having Gun Barrel take it. After all, Gun Barrel's sons are Trigger's grandsons.
They sure are. And if they're half as good as their ancestors, you'll do real well with them. Oh, by the way, Glenn, I'm going to buy a horse from you.
You are? Which one?
Trigger. The way he ran today, I'm sure glad we only made a 24-hour agreement. That's all for now, folks. This is Roy Rogers saying to all of you from all of us, goodbye, good luck, and may the good Lord take a liking to you. See you next week.
Happy trails to you until we meet again.
The Roy Rogers Show is brought to you tonight by Post Sugar Crisp, the cereal treat that's fun to eat. Fellas and girls, remember Roy's good advice and ask Mom to bring home Post Sugar Crisp in the red, white, and blue package with the 3 bears on the front. You'll love Post Sugar Crisp. The Roy Rogers Show can be heard again next week at this same time with Pat Brady, Dale Evans, and the king of the cowboys himself, Roy Rogers. An Art Brush production written and directed by Fran Van Harnisveld with music by Milton Charles.
Come and get it, but which you need energy for work and play. How about Grape Nuts Flakes? How about 'em, how about 'em, how about those Grape Nuts Flakes? How about those Grape Nuts Flakes? How about 'em, how about 'em, how about those Grape Nuts Flakes? They are so good, good for you too. They 2-minute energy works for you. So how about 'em, how about 'em, how about Grape Nuts Flakes?
Grape Nuts Flakes is one of the triple wrap Post cereals. Guaranteed fresh or triple your money back. Look for Grape Nuts Flakes, the great 2-minute energy cereal in the package with Roy Rogers and Trigger on the front.
Stay tuned for the latest news brought to you by Log Cabin Syrup.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then.
Who cares about the clouds if we're
Featured in today's cast were Frank Hemingway, Herb Butterfield, Gil Stratton Jr., Joseph Kearns, Jess Kirkpatrick, Jack Moyles, and Ed Max. This is Art Ballinger speaking for Post Sugar Crisp.
Welcome back. I'm River Gibbs. Now, another of these great half-hour Roy Rogers shows from the early 1950s.
It's the Roy Rogers Show.
Happy trails to you. It's nice to meet again. Happy trails to you until the journey's end.
Post Sugar Crisp, the cereal treat that's fun to eat, brings you the Roy Rogers Show. Transcribed on the Double R Bar Ranch with Pat Brady and the Queen of the West, Dale Evans.
Happy trails to you. Time to ride again.
And here he is, in person, the king of the cowboys, Roy Rogers.
Well, howdy, folks. Here's my good word for today. It's about a honey of a new cereal, Post Sugar Crisp. And it's my hunch you'll like it just as much as we do out here at the Double R Bar Ranch. You see, Post Sugar Crisp is just downright good eating. And it's good so many different ways. Try it real soon, won't you? And now, here's our story.
It's a crisp, clear morning on the Double R Bar Ranch. The bracing air tingles with action. And action is what Roy, Dale, and Pat are getting as they test some of the 2-year-old quarter-horse colts and fillies.
Ha there! Come on, boy! Get in
Catch that other fellow, Blackie! You can do it!
Come on, Snook! Step on it, baby!
Go, boy, there. Thought we'd nosed them out. Whoa there, Flash.
Whoa, whoa.
Whoa there. Hey, these are 3 good colts. We were just heads apart at the finish line.
But my horse was in front, wasn't he?
Well, I thought I won.
What do you mean? Well, little Snooks here was passing both of you just like you was anchored.
Well, it was close, all right. If the youngsters are going to be this even, we'll have to get someone with a camera out here at the finish line. Let's cool them out and try a couple of the others.
Hey, who's this?
That horse trailer could certainly stand a coat of paint.
Say, I've seen that fella around.
Hey, I saw you 3 racing those horses. Want to sell any of them cheap?
Oh, I raise them to sell, but they aren't cheap.
Heck no. These are the best doggone bred colts in Paradise Valley. In fact, the one Roy's riding was sired by Trigger. And if you live around here, you certainly know about him.
I've heard of a horse named Trigger. I'm Jeff Kaufman. You fellas are Rogers and Brady, aren't you?
Yes, we are, and this is Miss Evans.
How do you do?
How do you do, Mr. Kaufman? Aren't you the gentleman who bought the Rocky Falls spread for a dude ranch?
Yes, that's me. Bought it for cash. Practically ready to open up. I was just sort of riding around to see if I could pick up some cheap horses for the dudes to get thrown off of.
Yeah, I guess getting tossed is part of the game for a tenderfoot, but you don't try to get them thrown, do you?
What's it to me? If they break an arm or a leg, I'm insured. How much would you want for that colt you're riding, Rogers?
This one? Oh, about $1,200.
$1,200? I just bought the horse in the trailer there for $25.
For $25? Well, what's wrong with him, Mr. Kaufman?
He's blind in one eye, but he looks good. This trailer here was quite a bargain, too. Only cost me $5.
Sure, but if the thing would break down while you're carrying a good horse in it, it wouldn't be such a bargain.
Insurance, Rogers, insurance. If anything happens, let the insurance company pay for it.
You're new in the dude ranch business, aren't you, Mr. Kaufman?
Yeah, first time I ever tried this racket.
Well, if you don't mind a suggestion, I'd try to get the best horses and the slickest equipment I possibly could. Otherwise, you aren't going to get many customers.
I could teach you a thing or two about business, girl. I'll sign up the rich dudes from the East, collect plenty from them in advance. If they don't like it when they get here, well, they can't go anyplace else.
Somehow, I don't think you're going to be too successful. You know, that's no way to run a ranch.
What do you mean that's no way to run a ranch? My first guest is arriving tomorrow for 3 weeks. He's one of the richest men in the country. Big banker by the name of Phil Botfeld. Want to sell that colt for $50, Rogers?
I should say not.
And would either of you fellas be interested in a job as sort of guides around the place?
I suppose you'd pay about $35 a week?
15. But you get your meals thrown in.
Well, you aren't going to be able to find any wranglers who'll work for that kind of money.
Well, if I can't, I'll just pick up a couple of bums and dress them as cowboys. Just a little color around the place. Well, Rogers, if we can't do any business, I'll be driving on.
Good luck, Mr. Kaufman. The way you're operating, I think you're going to need it. That was a fine lunch, Dale. Well, I guess Trigger and Bullet and I'd better be getting back to the ranch.
Fine. I'll see you tonight, Roy. Oh, that'll be 75 cents.
Here you are.
Hey, here comes that Kaufman guy. He's probably going to try to buy the blue plate special for 8 cents.
He was in 2 days ago. He said his millionaire had arrived and that everything was going great.
He's an odd one, all right. He may have bought that spread for cash, but he's sure not spending much on equipment.
Instead of the Rocky Falls Ranch, he ought to call it the Second-Hand Ranch. Or maybe the Cast-Off Acres.
Oh, Rogers, I saw your horse outside. I'm glad I found you. I want to ask a favor.
Why, sure, Mr. Kaufman, but I'm still not selling any colts for $50.
No, I'm in serious trouble, Rogers.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's the matter?
I told you about this millionaire that's at my place. Well, he's missing.
Missing? We'd better go down and tell the sheriff. His office is right down the street.
I was just there. There wasn't anyone around. Of course, I don't want anyone to get wind of this. It might be bad publicity for my place.
Well, tell us what happened. We'll see what we can do.
Well, Mr. Botfeld rode out yesterday for a look at the falls. The horse came back last night, but he didn't.
What about the guide?
Well, I haven't hired any guides yet. I figured there'd be a needless expense.
Well, that country around the falls is a mighty wild place for a tenderfoot to go all alone. Don't tell me you sent him out on that blind horse.
Yes, I did. I only bought 2 others, and they didn't turn out to be very good saddle horses.
Well, I don't like to say I told you so, but you really should equip that place properly. And I think you can afford it.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I certainly wouldn't want anything to happen to Mr. Botfeld.
What's the matter? Doesn't your insurance cover that?
Certainly the insurance covers it. I'm just worried about bad publicity.
Well, standing here isn't finding your millionaire. We better get to your place fast, Kaufman, and we'll see if we can pick up his trail.
Roy, walking along this confounded ledge is killing my feet.
Well, Nellybell couldn't get up here, and I can't say that I blame you for not riding that horse Kaufman offered you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Easy now, Trigger. This is tricky going.
Yeah, it sure is. One slip and you'd fall 50 feet into that pool. And then, if you were lucky, you could swim out before the current caught you and carried you over the falls. Except the banks are too steep to climb.
I hope that didn't happen to Mr. Botfeld. If it did, I might as well look for a new line of business.
If I were you, Mr. Kaufman, I'd get off that one-eyed spoot and come along on foot like Pat's doing. I wouldn't trust that horse that's footing on a lawn.
No. And the way he keeps shying at shadows. Like...
Hey, help me. Whoa, Trigger. Stick on him, Mr. Kaufman, till we can get to you.
Yeah, I'm coming too, Roy. I'll try to grab his head.
I can't stay on. I'm down.
Oh, golly, Roy, that critter threw him right off into the pool.
Well, I just hope he didn't hit any rocks on the way down.
Steady there, you fool horse.
Kaufman, are you all right?
Get me out of here, Rogers. I can't swim.
He can still talk. I guess he ain't hurt.
We'll have to get a rope down to him, Pat, fast. My lariat won't be long enough, I guess, but we'll have to use this stuff Kaufman brought along from his place.
Yeah, he figured some rope might come in handy, but this is sure beat-up rope.
Well, it'll have to do.
Help! Help!
Here comes the line, Kaufman. Grab it.
I got it.
Loop it around your waist and hang on tight. Pat and I'll pull you up. Grab hold here, Pat.
Right, Roy. I got it.
Kaufman, work your way up the bank with your feet while we pull.
All right, Rogers.
Hey, he's heavy. Why don't we just tie this end to Trigger's saddle and let him pull?
I want to keep the rope as clear of the rocks as we can. It's pretty frayed, and if it scrapes along here while Trigger's pulling...
The rope is breaking. Now!
Serves him right. He probably bought this confounded rope in a junkyard.
Well, never mind that now, Pat.
Help! I'm going downstream.
The current's got him. He'll be carried over the falls in less than a minute.
Hey, calm down. What's all the excitement?
We want to talk about Post Sugar Crisp.
Oh, no wonder you're excited. Everybody's excited about Sugar Crisp because it's wholesome puffed wheat with a delicious candy coating of sugar and honey. And there are 3 different tempting ways to eat it.
It's the dandiest tasting cereal ever. Sweet as honey without sugar.
That's because Sugar Crisp is already sweetened. Just add milk or cream.
And it's especially handy for snacks. A grand treat, morning, noon, or night.
Yes, Sugar Crisp is good whenever you're hungry. Nourishing, too.
I eat it like candy, right out of the box. It's yummy.
Absolutely. Sugar Crisp makes wonderful eating anytime, anyway. And it gives you loads of good, quick food energy, too. So listen to the 3 Sugar Crisp bears.
As a cereal, it's dandy. For snacks, it's so handy. Or eat it like candy. Post Sugar Crisp.
Mother, when you shop this weekend, buy genuine Post Sugar Crisp in the red, white, and blue package with the 3 bears on front.
Jeff Kaufman opens a dude ranch on the Rocky Falls spread in Paradise Valley. His method of operation seems to be to spend as little money as possible and let the insurance companies do the worrying. But when millionaire Phil Botfeld disappears while riding alone near Rocky Falls, Kaufman is worried, and Roy and Pat go with him to look for the missing man. Above the falls, Kaufman's horse shies, and he's thrown into the rushing current.
No use trying this rope again, Roy. Hey, what are you doing?
Getting rid of my guns and boots. I'm going after him.
But how will you get him out? One lariat isn't long enough, and mine's back in Nellybell.
The ledge slopes down from here to the falls. I'll try to hold Kaufman up until you and Trigger can get to a place where my lariat will reach.
But, Roy, that'll only be a few yards above those falls.
Here goes.
Roy, be careful. Rogers, I'm going down.
I've got you, Kaufman. Just don't thrash around.
Don't swim downstream. The falls.
We can't get up the banks here.
But the current will sweep us over.
Well, relax and give me a chance to swim.
Get in closer to the bank, Roy.
I'm trying, Pat.
Have to go down a little further, Roy. The bank's still too high.
Rogers, you just get me out of this.
If we get out of this, maybe you'll buy some decent equipment.
Here comes the rope, Roy. Don't snip it.
I've got it, Pat. Good work.
Are we all right?
I hope so.
Those falls. Another few seconds, we'd have gone over them.
Well, we didn't.
All set, Roy. The rope's back to Trigger's saddle.
All right, Pat. Give him the work. Trigger'll know what to do. Well, I don't think Bartell went over the falls. If he had, we'd have found his body in one of these pools.
And we've covered them pretty thoroughly.
Hey, was Kaufman all right this morning, Roy?
Yeah, but he's a little shaky.
I'm sure glad we didn't bring him along this time. Dale's much better help on a deal like this.
Well, thank you, but it doesn't seem like we're getting anywhere.
I told Kaufman to go in and give the sheriff the whole story. If we don't report some trace of Botfeld by noon, he'll meet us with a posse.
It's a funny thing, Roy. The sheriff was in the cafe about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and he said he'd been in his office all the time up to then.
Oh, the sheriff considers wandering up and down a street anywhere in the block the same as being in his office. Kaufman could have missed him, and I guess he was too worried to wait.
Well, I think we'd better backtrack and see if Bullet can pick up a trail closer to the Dude Ranch. He isn't finding anything here, so let's go. Come on, Trigger.
Maybe when we get back to Kaufman's spread, we'll find that the millionaire showed up.
Well, I don't know, Dale. He's been gone almost 2 days now. Of course, it could be a long walk back from where he was thrown, and a tenderfoot like that wouldn't know exactly where he was going either.
Here comes the rider. Hey, he's in a hurry.
Yeah, if you call him a rider, that's Kaufman. I see he's got a different horse. I guess he learned some sort of a lesson yesterday.
Well, I lent him one. He promised he'd buy some decent stock, but he hasn't had time yet.
Whoa there, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, Rogers, I'm glad I found you. I figured maybe you'd be heading back about now.
Well, any news? Did you go back to talk to the sheriff?
I didn't talk to the sheriff, but there's news, and it's bad.
Bad news? You mean Mr. Botfeld's dead?
No, but it's almost that bad.
Well, tell us, Kaufman.
Yeah, get hold of yourself and give us the story.
Botfeld's been captured. He's being held for ransom.
Ransom?
Well, how do you know?
I had a phone call right after you left this morning. The voice said if I'd leave $50,000 at the base of Dorsey's Rocks, they wouldn't harm Botfeld. Otherwise, they said they'd kill him in 2 hours.
Oh, who around here would do a thing like that? You mean to say you didn't let the sheriff know?
Sheriff? This is a case for the FBI.
No, they warned me about calling in the law. I hope I've done the right thing.
Well, what did you do?
I rode into town as fast as I could. I slapped a $50,000 mortgage on my spread at the bank and took the cash out to the Rock.
Well, we can't take the word of a desperate gang that they won't harm Botfeld. We've got to find him.
Did you see anything unusual at Dorsey's Rock when you left the money? Were there any clues at all?
Well, just this scrap of paper. I don't know if it means anything or not.
Let me see it. It's pretty badly printed. And it says The Shack.
It's an awful rumpled old scrap of paper. Probably doesn't mean a thing.
The Shack? Hey, wait a minute. There's an old abandoned shack in the gully about 5 miles north of your place, Mr. Kaufman. It'd be a perfect place to hold someone for ransom.
Hey, we better ride in for the sheriff right now.
Well, that would take 2 hours. And we can get to the gully in 15 minutes. In a case like this, every minute may count. Come on, let's go.
There it is, Roy.
Yeah, easy now, everyone. No noise.
Oh, it's a shack, all right. Sort of an old log cabin. Don't seem to be anyone around. No horses, anyway.
Well, if the gang isn't there, they must have headed on down the gully. They couldn't have avoided us if they'd come this way.
They'll be tough to trail in these rocks. I wish they were in there now so we could get it over with.
Well, let's creep up and see what we see.
I'd better go alone first. The rocks will be good cover. Maybe I can see under the shack without being seen myself.
Well, how can you see in? Don't seem to be any windows.
Well, there's one window in the back, as I remember.
You all stay here. I won't be long. I'll either come right back or call you if the coast is clear. Come along, Bullet.
Roy's coming back. Sure didn't take him long.
I guess he found out what he wanted to know.
It was mighty smart of you to remember the shack, Miss Evans. I just hope the gang left that note to tell us where they left Botfell.
All right. We can go down there. The cabin isn't exactly empty, but I don't think we're in any danger. We'll lead the horses.
Roy, what do you mean? The cabin isn't exactly empty.
There's a man in there. He's bound and gagged and lying on the floor.
A man? Is it Botfell?
I don't know. I never seen Botfell.
Well, how come you didn't go in?
The door's locked, and I think we'll have to break it down.
How about the window?
It was open an inch or two, but I didn't want to slide it up any further. Might disturb some fingerprints and the dust on the sill.
Well, did Bullet pick up any sort of a scent?
He didn't seem to find anything at the rear of the shack. He was a little more interested in the front, but he didn't get very excited.
Well, there are a few nicks in the rocks that could have been made by horseshoes.
Yeah, there aren't many of them, though. If a kidnapping gang was operating out of here, it can't be a very big gang.
Did the man inside see you?
I don't think so. I didn't call to him because he couldn't have answered anyway. Now, let's see what we can do about the door.
It's locked all right.
Don't worry in there. We're going to break down the door. Let's go, Pat. Kaufman. Get your shoulders against it.
Till Roy returns, let's listen to his friends, the Three Sugar Crisp Bears.
We're the Sugar Crisp Bears, and we want you to meet the grandest treat you ever did eat.
Post Sugar Crisp.
As a cereal, it's dandy. For snacks, it's so handy. Or eat it like candy. Post Sugar Crisp.
How about it? Have you tried this marvelous new cereal? It's a special treat because Sugar Crisp is wholesome, nourishing puffed wheat, candy coated with pure honey and sugar. Sugar Crisp is grand for breakfast. With just milk or cream, no sugar needed. It's swell for between meal snacks. And you'll enjoy Sugar Crisp like candy right out of the box. Yes, it's the cereal treat that's fun to eat round the clock. So, Mother, this weekend buy Post Sugar Crisp in the red, white, and blue package with the three bears on front.
A roughly scrawled clue on a piece of paper leads Roy, Dale, Pat, and Jeff Kaufman to a deserted shack in a remote gully. Roy sees a man bound and gagged inside the locked cabin, and they decide to enter forcibly.
There we are. It's Mr. Botfeld. It's him. Mr. Botfeld, are you all right?
I'll get the gag out of his mouth.
Is this the fellow we're looking for?
There you are. Are you all right?
Thanks, miss. Kaufman, I've had a terrible experience. Wait, who are these people? These are friends of mine from the valley. I'm so sorry this happened, Mr. Botfeld. I paid your ransom, and thank heaven the gang didn't harm you.
Are you well enough to tell us just what happened, Mr. Botfeld? The important thing now is to get the men who are responsible for this.
They roughed me up pretty badly, but I was conscious of everything they did.
Well, here, let me get these ropes off while you're talking.
Thank you. There were three men. They waylaid me evening before last and brought me here.
Hey, haven't you had anything to eat? I don't see no food around.
The men went out one at a time occasionally and brought something back. They were very careful to keep things cleaned up. When they all left about an hour ago, it was the first time I'd been completely alone.
We didn't pick up any trace of the gang coming down here. Do you have any idea which way they went?
They locked the door from the inside and went through that back window.
Take a look. Maybe they left some prints or something.
There you are, Mr. Botfeld. Your arms aren't cut up from the ropes. They really didn't do a very good job of tying you.
Oh, they felt like steel bands to me. Oh, Kaufman, about that ransom money. How much was it, and how did you get it?
$50,000, Mr. Botfeld. I mortgaged my ranch to get the cash quickly.
Well, I'll make arrangements to repay you.
Although I ought to sue you for every penny of it for subjecting me to a thing like this. I consider it gross negligence on your part.
No, don't sue, Mr. Botfeld. The publicity would ruin me. Oh, and I've learned my lesson. From now on, I'm running a different kind of place.
I hope so.
And you don't have to repay me. I have an insurance policy which will cover it. I'll collect from the insurance company. I just hope we can keep the whole thing quiet.
Mr. Bartfeld, where have I seen you before?
Huh?
Your face looks so familiar.
Pardon me, Mr. Barfeld. You said the men who were holding you left through this window about an hour ago.
Yeah, no more than that, certainly.
Well, that's strange.
What's the matter, Roy? No fingerprints?
No fingerprints, Pat, but there's a spider web here.
Well, nothing unusual about a spider web in a deserted cabin?
There is about this one. It takes a spider 4 or 5 hours to spin a web this big. The window was just like this when you and Botfeld came in here early this morning and faked this kidnapping.
What are you talking about?
Rogers, the very idea.
Now I know where I saw you before, Mr. Botfeld. You were in the Eureka Cafe yesterday afternoon while Roy and Pat were out looking for you.
It couldn't have been Miss Evans.
Jeff, come on, make a break for it.
Oh, no, you don't. Grab him, Pat. I got him.
Roy, look out! Kaufman's drawing.
He isn't going fast enough. Ow! Now, you swindler, do you still want to make a break for it?
Look, Rogers, we're making plenty on this deal. Forget this whole thing. We'll cut you in for a couple of thousand.
Still mighty generous, aren't you, Kaufman? Well, I hope you've got insurance to cover a broken jaw.
No, don't, Rogers. I'll raise the price.
Some people will never learn, and I don't suppose this will teach you anything. This sure ought to quiet you down for a little while.
You better let me go, Rogers. You'll never prosecute me successfully. I can spend millions on lawyers if necessary, and you'll never prove anything.
You can't bluff us. And I'm pretty sure we can prove that you were working for Kaufman.
Yeah, and in that case, you ain't got a nickel because we know what kind of wages he pays.
Let's get some ropes on him, Pat, and start him back to town.
Yeah, and let's use our own ropes. Hey, when'd you get wise to Kaufman, Roy?
When I looked through the window, I saw that the ropes on Botfeld were the same sort of junk that almost cost Kaufman his life yesterday. And from then on, every time either of them opened their mouths, they drew a tighter noose around themselves.
Well, I know one dude ranch that isn't going to be operating anymore.
And I guess a couple of insurance companies are going to be mighty happy with Kaufman and Botfeld out of the way.
That's right. I've got a hunch they'll be able to pin enough swindles on them to ensure their privacy for a long, long time. That's all for now, folks. This is Roy Rogers saying to all of you from all of us, goodbye, good luck, and may the good Lord take a liking to you. See you next week.
Happy trails to you until we meet again.
The Roy Rogers Show was brought to you tonight by Post Sugar Crisp, the cereal treat that's fun to eat. Fellas and girls, remember Roy's good advice and ask Mom to bring home Post Sugar Crisp in the red, white, and blue package with the 3 bears on the front. You'll love Post Sugar Crisp. The Roy Rogers Show can be heard again next week at this same time with Pat Brady, Dale Evans, and the king of the cowboys himself, Roy Rogers. An Art Brush production written and directed by Fran Van Hartesveld with music by Milton Charles.
Come and get it! Come and get it! For quick 2-minute energy for work and play, how about Grape Nuts Flakes?
How about 'em, how about 'em, how about those grape nuts flakes?
How about those grape nuts flakes?
How about 'em, how about 'em, how about those grape nuts flakes? They are so good, good for you too. The 2-minute energy works for you, so how about 'em, how about 'em, how about grape nuts flakes?
Grape Nuts Flakes is one of the triple-wrapped Post cereals. Guaranteed fresh or triple your money back. Look for Grape Nuts Flakes, the great 2-minute energy cereal in the package with Roy Rogers and Trigger on the front.
Featured in today's cast were Frank Hemingway, Jack Moyles, and Will Wright. This is Art Ballinger speaking for Post Sugar Crisp. Stay tuned for the latest news brought to you by Log Cabin Syrup.
Well, that's it. Another episode of the radio shows young Americans love the best. I'm River Gibbs, inviting you to join me next time, right here.